themselves in the field. Do we like that? Okay, so the diminishment of educational excellence. Here is their plan. Their plan is to eliminate the Department of Education. Louder. Yes. Terrible idea. Undermining Racial Justice Project 2025 declares that all diversity and equity training is discriminatory towards white people. Put a woman in charge. And denies the existence of systemic racism. Immigration Project 2025, listen to this, friends, will insist on rounding up more than 11 million immigrant people, locking them in detention camps before executing the largest deportation operation in American history. There you go. So there's plenty more, lots of information that's going to come through the speakers, but I want us to learn a little chant. We're going to, can I take this off? Thank you. So the words are, wake up. Can you say? Wake up. Look alive. Look alive. Stop Project 2025. Stop Project 2025. Wake up. Look alive. Stop Project 2025. Wake up. Look alive. Stop Project 2025. Wake up. Look alive. Stand up. Stop Project 2025. Get your hips involved. Ready? Here we go. Wake up. Look alive. Stop Project 2025. Wake up. Look alive. Stop Project 2025. I would like to invite Lisa, our queen bee, to the front of the stage.
Oh my God, thank you. Brian, my hips hurt after watching you. Thank you everyone for being here. My name is Lisa Storment, president of Wake Up Sonoma. Some of you may know me. Oh, come forward. Okay. Can you guys hear me okay? All right. So Wake Up Sonoma is a human and civil rights organization, and we advocate for human and civil rights. That is what we are doing. We provide forums and resources and rallies and protests, and that's why we're here today, because we want to inform the community about what is facing them. One of our taglines is educate, advocate, activate. So I'm going to try to ask you guys to say that because it's really important to remember it. Educate. Educate. Advocate. Advocate. Activate. Activate. Thank you, and you guys are activated. All right, activate. Educate. Educate. Advocate. Advocate. Activate. Activate. Yeah. Educate. Educate. Advocate. Advocate. Activate. Activate. Yeah. So you're here today at this time and date because rallies like this are going on all around the nation, and we answered the call for visibility. We are just one of many, many towns and cities all over the nation doing this today. It's like in New York Times Square, they're doing this at 7 o'clock. So we're sort of on the same schedule with them. And you may have heard about Project 2025, but I'm not sure that you really understand how it will impact you and people that you love and know. So our speakers are gonna enlighten you on some of that. We started, as many of you I'm sure know, as on a mission to promote transparency from a certain set of investors whose names shall remain unmentioned. They call it Voldemort. But we saw the writing on the walls then that there was a bigger national extremist threat coming. And we answered the call. We spoke up. And that's what we need you guys to do, is speak up, because what we're seeing is not going to be fun. It threatens our democracy, threatens human rights. So I urge you, I'm personally here to urge you, no matter what your political affiliation is, and there's the DIRG, D-I-R-G, no matter what letter you have next to your political status, if you vote for democracy, and we might have a difference, we can work it out on the other side when democracy is safe. And right now, we don't know. So please visit our website at wakeupsonoma.org. We have a web page there that has and will continue to have updated information about Project 2025. You may see QR codes all over the place and on our flyers. That'll take you right to our Project 2025 webpage. And also, what do you guys think I'm going to say now? Donations. Donations keep a nonprofit alive. You can make a donation at the back table with Elizabeth back there. You can make a donation online. If you happen to have a donor advised fund, we love that, and you can make a donation through that. So just a little bit of housekeeping. Bathrooms are there. There's a water station there. You see people with vests on around, and those are people that you can go to if you have questions. And somebody is waving over there in the back. Oh, waving, yeah. People with vests, they can wave if you want. If you have your own water bottles, please use the water station. If you don't have a water bottle and you're thirsty, like I am right now, you can get a paper cup from us in the back. But please make sure that all of your trash goes into recycling, because we are all about climate change and preventing it. All right, so now I would like to do my first introduction. Okay, first I'm going to introduce Howard Sapper. Okay, Howard Sapper has been a community activist for most of his adult life, and he has lived in Sonoma for 44 years. He is honored to serve and be an officer on the Human Rights Commission for the last 9 years, and is the Sonoma Valley Representative to the HRC. He is the CEO of Pushpak Motors. You know those little fun things we see around town? And he specializes in the creation of low-speed electric vehicles and eco-friendly historic tours of Sonoma. So give it up for Howard.
How's everyone doing today? Probably a lot better than we were doing 2 weeks ago. So what I want to say is, there's two things I can't do today. I'm a Human Rights Commissioner, I represent all you guys here, but today I'm speaking as an individual. Number two is there's certain names that we can't mention because we don't want to violate their 501c3, but we know who we're talking about. Are we right? Okay. So the first thing we want to talk about is calling a spade, which is white nationalism is the issue that we're dealing with. And that's so much of what 2025 is about. And that's so much about what the struggle for Wake Up was doing, because the people behind what they were fighting were definitely behind the white nationalist agenda. And it's a very big threat to us, and if you don't think it's a threat, history repeats itself. You need to go back 90 years to Europe and understand specifically what we're talking about. Quite a few of the things that I was going to say, Reverend Kern already spoke, but I might repeat them. But I do want to say that I'm proud to live in a town where the clergy is actively involved in doing the good thing for the people of the world. So I want to thank the Reverend and our staff and so much of our clergy here in town that always come out there and weekly to support the right thing that needs to be done. So the two issues that they asked me to discuss briefly was racial justice, or lack thereof, and also just what the long-term plans are as it relates to foreign government, federal government, the things that they want to do here. So when we look at racial justice, the key issues are really a real attack on DEI and how it really is impacting. and trying to portray this as a threat to the white people. Of course, anybody knows that there's nothing but the truth. As we as a country come together and honor our diversity, inclusiveness, then we are a better nation, we're a better community, a better world. So any threat on that is a threat to democracy as it speaks. The real issue is democracy versus fascism. So we shouldn't mince our words. That's where we are right now. And if you look at the 2025 and you study it closely, it is authoritarianism, it's unchecked power in the federal, it's the ability to take and fire so many of our civil servants who are supposedly all nonpartisan and replace them with all MAGA people. Who wants that? No! So many of the people that are standing up come from the big R to this. It's not just Democrats, it's not just independents. There have been righteous people coming from the Republican Party that stood up to the last administration's attack on our democracy. So we're the United States of America. Together we have to make these changes. So let's find our commonalities. The commonality is really supporting democracy. Who here wants to support democracy? Who here is down on fascism? Thank you. So we're all clear why we're here. So it's easy to list some of the things on racial justice. It's the attack on education in the schools. It's the banning of the books. It's the things that are so 20 years ago, the thought that the things that are would be considered somewhat mainstream in our media, or people that are trying to put this in, the attack on women's reproductive rights, all this stuff, it is so unheard of 20 years ago, and how fast we're returning to the 40s, the 50s, so we don't want that, do we? No! Do we want 55,000 civil servants replaced by MAGA people who have this really quickly classified status come in, where it's how hard it is for people to get security clearances? Under the 2025 proposal, they're going to fast track all these people to take the positions of these nonpartisan civil servants. Do we want that? No! I'll ask again, do we want democracy? Yes! We don't want fascism, do we? No! So now they're talking about abolishing the Federal Reserve and going back to the gold standard. So you have to understand, you have to dig deep into the 2025 to understand what's really happening here. Because of course it's a 600 or 800 page document, but to anyone who wants to do a little Google search, you'll find the highlights. They're there, and understand them. And when we're out the next 105 days educating the public, we need to have these talking points. We have to have them available. Because so many people have been lulled to sleep with thinking there's no difference. How much difference the Supreme Court after 2016, when people said there's no difference? This is the most important election of our lifetime. Let's activate, let's get out, let's speak for democracy and for truth. So I want to say, last thing, I'm grateful to be here. I'll be here later. You can come up to me, I have cards. If there's any issues that you're dealing with in the community around human rights violations or anything, please come to me or call me at 707-321-1405. I'm here to represent the community the best I can. And let freedom ring, democracy now.
Educate, advocate, activate. Ready? Educate, advocate, activate. Educate, advocate, activate. Educate, advocate. Activate!
Gotta let the dust settle. I'd also like to give a shout out to David Eicher and Josette Rose Eicher. If you guys could stand up. They're the core team of Wake Up Sonoma, and we invite you to join us. Just come online and send me a message. All right, next I'm going to introduce Larry Barnett. Larry is a 35-year resident of Sonoma, a 3-term city councilman. He served as mayor of Sonoma twice and is currently chair of Sonoma Planning Commission And I'm sure most of you know him. He has a very unique perspective on democracy. And take it away, Larry.
Good afternoon. Nice to see you all. There are so many specifics and so many elements to Project 2025 that any one of us could stand up here for hours and regale you with the facts. Before I get into some of the facts, based on my advanced years and my proximity to past history of the world, I just want to take a few minutes to talk about the resonance for me of what's happening with Project 2025. About 100 years ago, a young Adolf Hitler in 1920 published his 25 points that ultimately became the framework for the platform for the Nazi Party. After that, he spent some time in prison, during which time he wrote a book, Mein Kampf, in which he expanded upon all of those themes. And he was considered by many, as has happened in this country, he was considered by many to be a bit of a buffoon or a loudmouth or a liar. But he nonetheless got the backing of very powerful money interests in Germany. At the time, we referred to them as the German industrialists. But the reality is, comparable to the United States today, they were basically the billionaires. The billionaires of the time got behind Hitler. They figured he could be changed, he could be influenced, that his views that some people considered radical and strange, because keep in mind, the Nazi Party started as a socialist party. One of his platforms was socializing the major industry in Germany, providing social security for the elderly. He adopted a lot of the emphasis of the left-wing parties in Europe at that time. Keep in mind, the Russian Revolution of 1917 had happened. There was a great push towards socialism and communism in Europe. And so he co-opted some of those platforms, but combined them with his very radical view, which was that the only people who could have any power, or for that matter, influence in Germany, had to be Germans by blood. And this theme of blood and soil became a primary thematic element in Nazi ideology. We're hearing it today in the comments about who is or who is not a real American. This is dangerous stuff. And yet, at the time, Germany was the most sophisticated, or along with France, among the most sophisticated countries in the world. It had unquestionably, by the 30s, the finest healthcare system in Europe. It was the home, historically, of great scholars, philosophers, mathematicians, scientists, and artists, an incredible multi-century history of real brilliance. And yet, amidst that history, the country of Germany was taken control of by the Nazi Party. Now, how did it happen? Was it that the vast majority of the population in Germany were in favor of the Nazi Party? It was not. It was a relatively small party. What Germany had experienced post-World War I was great poverty and great change and great depression, as much of the rest of the world had because of the Depression of 1929. And the people in Germany were desperate. They needed to have a good life. The fact is, though, that most of the Germans, and this is part of the reason why Hitler and the Nazi Party was able to take control, most people decided to be bystanders. And that's what this rally is about today. Are we going to be bystanders, or are we going to get involved and activate ourselves and the people we know to stand up against authoritarianism. That's what this is all about. Now, I've been involved in politics locally, in the workings of government from the inside, and I've also been involved in workings outside of government on the outside. I consider myself an activist at heart, and I was an activist when I was in office, and I was an activist when I wasn't. The fact is, we are facing a critical choice. And the choice is, are you going to get up off your butt? Are you going to talk to all the people you know? Are you going to enlist your family and your friends and make them understand that we are at a turning point in American history, a potential turning point? This is what didn't happen in Germany. The bystander role is one of worrying on your couch and staying silent. Why? Well, if you become an activist, it's risky. You're sticking your neck out. You're making your voice heard. All of a sudden, you're going to get, in this environment today, you're going to get a lot of nastiness in social media. The minute you put your head up for a cause or for a purpose, people will be out there ready to attack you. But I'm telling you right now, none of that will hurt as much as what Plan 2025 will inflict upon all of us.
We will not stand by. Again. We will not stand by.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Larry. I learned some things there. Okay, next I'm going to introduce somebody who has a very deep knowledge of what's going on in the labor world. Marty Bennett, who's lived in the city of Sonoma for 30 years. He is an instructor, I always say this wrong, emeritus of history at Santa Rosa Junior College, and a consultant for Unite Here Local 2, a union representing hotel, food service, and airport workers across the entire Bay Area. We welcome his perspective on labor, so come on up, Marty.
Thank you very much, Lisa. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm with Unite Here Local 2. I'm with Unite Here Local 2. And I want to thank all of you who supported our successful organizing campaign at the Fairmont Sonoma Mission Inn. 275 workers are at the Fairmont are now members of Local 2, and we are bargaining the first contract the Supreme Court set out in the recent Chevron decision. So what does Project 2025 mean for the labor? Only 11% of Americans belong to labor unions today. In the 1950s, 35% of Americans did so. We can chart on a graph the decline of the American labor movement and the decline of the American middle class. Project 2025 will directly undermine the resurgence of the labor movement that is occurring today. Starbucks workers are organizing to join SEIU. Amazon workers are organizing to join the Teamsters. Chattanooga, Tennessee workers just affiliated with the United Auto Workers. And you witnessed over the last 3 or 4 months huge strikes in Southern California by the Screen Actors Guild and the screenwriters. And my union, Unite Here, struck 60 different hotels in Southern California and we won. So frankly, what does it mean if Project 2025 is implemented for labor? 1, banning all public sector unions. 2, as you've heard, removing civil service protection from tens of thousands of federal employees, many of them union members, and mass firings, replacing them with non-union Trump loyalties. Permitting states to seek waivers from the Fair Labor Standards Act and the National Labor Relations Act, enabling states to exempt themselves from federal minimum wage and overtime laws and protections to join a union. Most importantly, removing employee protections against employer retaliation if workers advocate for a union, just like workers at the Fairmont did for 2 years. Pass legislation that will significantly weaken a section of the National Labor Relations Act that bans company-controlled unions. Eliminate most child labor protections and permit teenagers to work in dangerous industries, such as meatpacking and mining. Weaken and rescind regulations prohibiting workplace discrimination based on race, sexual orientation, and gender identity. And perhaps most importantly, dismantle and defund the National Labor Relations Board, which with a Biden majority is the most effective and aggressive to protect workers' rights since the administration of Franklin Roosevelt. Now, I want to say something on behalf of my union and not Wake Up Sonoma. Labor is all in to elect Kamala Harris. We must defeat the Trump fans ticket, and we must take both chambers, the House and the Senate. My union, Unite Here, has an extensive canvassing program. We're paid so-called release timers of our union, go to work for the union during the election season, and then they come back to their workplace with all their paid benefits and job classifications. We will have 1,200 members canvassing in Reno, Las Vegas, Phoenix, Atlanta, and Philadelphia. It's the swing county in the swing state, critical swing state of Nevada, where we re-elected Democratic Senator Catherine Cortez Masto by 9,000 votes. You are invited to come to Reno on the weekend, canvass with my union, and return on Sunday night. We will be canvassing for the Democratic ticket, Kamala Harris. We will be canvassing for incumbent Democratic Senator Jackie Rosen, and we will be canvassing for a constitutional amendment to enshrine abortion rights in the Nevada. And travel, we can help with that. Come and see me afterwards and sign up for a weekend in Reno after September 9th. Thank you.
Wake up! Look alive! Stop Project 2025. We're gonna have a little fun. This side is gonna say wake up. good? Wake up! Look alive! Stop Project 2025! Wake up! Look alive! Stop Project 2025! Look alive! Stop Project 2025! Give yourselves a hand.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Marty. I'm sure we all learned a lot from Marty on that one. I'm a little bit verklempt with these speakers. I mean, I really have a lot of gratitude to them for actually being here and showing up. So, one thing I forgot to mention is that there's a voter registration table over here. So if you haven't voted, I mean, if you haven't registered, you can register now over there. And also, if you know somebody that hasn't registered, they can tell you what to do. We also have a link on our website for voter registration as well. All right, this next speaker is near and dear to my heart. He's going to talk about the issues facing the transgender community and LGBTQ. Just if Project 2025 goes through, my marriage will be, over, basically. We will have our marriages rescinded. So, my son is also transgender, and my son's friend, Xavier Davenport, is identifies as a man of transgender experience, and he has agreed to be here today. He's born in San Francisco. He is a leader and activist in the trans community. He works with trans youth also as a mentor, so incredibly important. So please welcome Xavier.
Thank you all so much. I really appreciate the love that you guys have shown me thus far. I'm glad to actually be here. So I want to first thank the Ohlone ancestors, right? Because we are all here on stolen land, and so I want to acknowledge those ancestors for being here in this space with us. I also want to acknowledge my ancestors, Black people, the people who have built the land that we stand on, the luxuries that we have. It is because of my ancestors that those things are possible. So I want to acknowledge them and bring them into this space. I promise I will not be before you guys long. I know the day is long and people are ready to get out of here and make their votes and do what they came here to do. But I want to definitely leave you guys with a little bit of what Project 2025 is really getting into. And Lisa, thank you so much for having me, Miss Lisa, with Wake Up Sonoma. Thank you so much. Because this is breaking barriers that you guys may not even understand. This is catapulting folks that live and breathe trans experience into another level. We are very talented people, and yes, I say we. I know you see before you a young or a Black man. Maybe you vibe with that, maybe you don't. But I am a man of trans experience, so yes, I have transitioned. I was socialized as a woman, as a child. And as you can see, there's not much evidence of that as you look at me right now. And that's not a thing that I would like to gloat about, but it's a thing that there is a certain privilege that I hold. And I want to be able to acknowledge that, but also bring light to the fact that LGBTQ plus communities are dying off because of things like Project 2025. Project 2025 is something that creates a barrier from each person holding their own autonomy to be themselves, love who they want to love, and be in the type of communities that continue to water their soul and water who they are. Miss Lisa, as she spoke earlier about her son, Nico Storman, he is a lovely, lovely young trans-masculine identified person that I work very closely with. We do a lot of things like transgender or trans march that happens in San Francisco. We are the folks that put those things on and allow those memories to continue to live. We continue to focus on advocating for trans-identified people because they have a voice just like each and every person here in this space has a voice to be who they want to be, love who they want to love, and fight for the things that they so choose, the morals, the values that they hold for themselves. And so I am employing you all to really fight for those communities, really put your voice out there and say that this is wrong, to really say that Project 2025 is something that needs to be dismantled and disbanded in this country. Enough of violence and enough of interrogation of the folks that need to be loved and need to be held and need to be sure that their safety is important to each and every person that is living on this earth. The last couple things I want to say is there is a scripture, and I know some of you believe in God, and if you do, that's great. If you believe in a higher power, that's great. I believe in him. And so I want to say that it says, whoever says that he is in the light and hates his brother is still in darkness. Whoever loves his brother abides in the light, and in him there is no cause for stumbling. That is 1 John 2:9-10. And so I want to make sure that you guys understand that if you cannot say that you love each and every person that stands next to you, you cannot possibly be thriving, you cannot possibly be doing the right things, you are definitely doing something completely wrong. At the end of it, I want to say, how are you supporting LGBT communities with or without Project 2025? How are you supporting the LGBTQ movement even without Project 2025? So this goes long beyond the election. This goes long beyond what we can do to put somebody in office, or long beyond what we want to do to continue to hold our prejudice or biases. It is really about how we show up in everyday community. How are we showing up for people that do not necessarily feel that they have a voice, whether they are black, brown, indigenous, whether you agree with their lifestyle or not? How are you focused on ensuring that you show love to your brethren? Thank you so much.
Trans rights are human rights. Trans rights are human rights. Wow, trans rights are human rights.
All right, thank you so much, Xavier. That was incredible for me. Okay, and we have our last speaker, last but not least, which is Omar Figueroa. He's a first-generation immigrant born in Mexico who attended our California public schools, and thanks to financial aid, graduated from Yale University and Stanford Law School. He has more than 25 years directors of the Sonoma County Bar Association, as well as the board of directors of the Sebastopol Center for the Arts, and is a member of the Sonoma County chapter of the American Civil Liberties Union of Northern California. He's also a voting member of the Sonoma County Democratic Central Committee. He lives in Sebastopol. He has with his wife and 2 boys. Omar is here in his personal capacity and not speaking on behalf of any particular organization, but rather as a citizen exercising his constitutional right to free expression on core political issues.
Members of the community here in Sonoma County, thank you for coming together today. We stand at a critical juncture, facing proposals that threaten the very essence of our community and our democracy. One of the most alarming elements of Project 2025 is the plan to deport approximately 11 million undocumented immigrants who live and work all across the United States. The approach outlined in Project 2025 includes the establishment of large-scale deportation camps designed to detain those targeted for removal. This proposal involves the use of this proposal is a chilling echo of dark chapters in our history where entire populations were forcibly removed and detained. Remember the Japanese internment camps here in California during World War II. They brought shame on our nation. The intention here is clear: to create an environment of fear and uncertainty, disrupting the lives of millions, including U.S. citizen children who live in mixed status households, meaning the kids are citizens, the parents are not. Over 5.5 million U.S. citizen children live with at least one undocumented family member, and the emotional and psychological impact on these families would be devastating. They can't deport the kids, just the parents. Imagine that. What does that look like? Trump says that this plan was inspired by Operation Wetback in the 1950s, when 1.3 million Mexican immigrants like myself were deported in the largest mass deportation in U.S. history. The Project 2025 would be 10 times the size of Operation Wetback and would require local law enforcement and the National Guard to aid in mass deportations. The idea is not just to remove undocumented individuals, but to do so on a massive scale with little regard for due process or the humane treatment of those involved. And let's put it all in context. Just yesterday, Trump made a statement that adds another layer of concern. He suggested that if he's elected, voting would be fixed to such an extent that people would not need to vote again. This rhetoric, unbelievable, but this rhetoric undermines the fundamental democratic principle that voting is a cornerstone of our nation's foundation. We are a democracy. Trump's statements, coupled with the aggressive immigration policies that are outlined in Project 2025, paint a troubling picture of a dark future under a cruel dictator who plans to cancel voting itself. Now imagine our cultural events and public gatherings, which celebrate Latino heritage and bring us all together. They would be severely impacted. Cinco de Mayo on the plaza? Nobody's showing up for that if they got brown skin. The fear generated by these policies would discourage participation, silencing the vibrant expressions of our community. We cannot allow fear to stifle our voices or erase the rich cultural traditions that define us. We are not going back. No vamos para atrás. In the face of these challenges, it is crucial crucial that we stand together, united in our commitment to justice and inclusion. We must advocate for policies that protect all members of our community, ensuring that Sonoma County remains a place where everyone feels safe and welcome. Let us not be deterred by fear. Let us continue to celebrate our cultures, our diversity, and our shared humanity. Together, we can protect our community, ensuring a future that all of us can look forward to. Thank you for taking the time to help create a better future for all of us. Let's keep pushing forward, united and determined. We are not going back to the 1950s.
Nowhere.
And Operation Wetback.
Nowhere.
No vamos para atrás, sino para adelante. Wake up, look alive, stop Project 2025.
All right, that's a great chant. All right, I lied. There's one more speaker. I just don't think of her as a speaker. I think of her as one of our leaders, Corinne Reichert, Reverend Dr. Corinne Reichert. She's pastored progressive communities of faith as an ordained minister in the United Church of Christ for more than 2 decades. She is an eco-spiritualist and a human rights activist. She is the out and proud pastor of First Congregational Church, right up the street over there, and one that always has cool sayings on the sign out front. More welcome to Corinne.
Last speaker's shirt, it says kicking ass for the working class. So as a progressive religious leader, I'm compelled to speak out on behalf of all who consider themselves faithful to the moral code and conduct that values equally the worth of every single human being in this country. Amen? Amen. Project 2025 is one more example, and a very dangerous one, that turns the spotlight on the religious right and Christian nationalists who wield political power that has enshrined their own twisted interpretation of Scripture into representative legislation. Project 2025 reflects a big picture called dominionism. If you don't know about it, look it up. Dominionism and the Seven Mountains Mandate agenda call for Christian conservatives to take control and establish dominion over the 7 pillars of modern society. I raise my voice today on behalf of all progressive faith leaders who know that this nation was not founded on Christian principles. Democracy and the absolute necessity of the separation of church and state. Project 2025 wants to inject misguided, misogynistic, homophobic, racist versions of Christian values into government policy, and we, my friends, must stop it. So I was tasked with speaking to reproductive rights and a little bit about the queer community. Reproductive freedoms is a term that would be removed from legislative language. The plan is to defund Planned Parenthood, and the government will require, this is horrifying, mandated state reportings of all abortions. In addition to prosecuting health providers who provide abortion medication through the mail, Project 2025 permits states to prohibit employers from providing medical coverage for abortion procedures, and prohibits the Department of Health and Human Services from treating abortions as health care. Queer rights? What's that? identity, I love this one, and prosecuting.
Stop Project 2025. Wake up. Look alive. Stop Project 2025. Wake up. Look alive. Stop Project 2025. Thank you so much.
Bob and Tim are going to say power to the people, and they're going to engage us, and then we're going to walk all together as a group down to the protest place by the horseshoe. The horseshoe. We're going to walk down there together. But stick around for this wonderful, enchanted.
That's not the song I'm singing. It's better.
I want to say two things, please, if I may. I know two things. One is I'm super thankful that somebody turned down the heat on our little town today. I get to wear my stylish long pants again. And we have to make sure that we turn up the heat to fight this dastardly Project 2025.
So I was thinking about, I was asked to do this, and I've been doing Dylan and protest songs for years, but then someone on my Facebook page gave me this song. It's a Patti Smith song. Or Patti Smith. You might know this anthem. It's called People Have the Power. All right, so I'm going to teach you the chorus right now. I'm a sing-along guy. I've been doing it for 30, 40 years at Flowery and around the district, elementary school. Tighten this thing. So it goes like this. People have the power. People have the power. People have the power. People have the power. That's your turn. Ready? People have the power. People have the power. I can't hear you. People have the power. People have the power. All right, so we're going to sing this song right now. Tim's going to lead you with your part, all right? I was dreaming, in my dreaming, of an aspect bright and fair. Am I sleeping? It was broken, but my dream, it lingered near, in the form of shining valleys, where the pure air rarefied. And my senses newly open, I awaken to the cry that the people have the power to redeem the work of fools upon the meek. The graces shower, it's the creed. The people rule. Get ready, here we go. The people have the power. People have the power. People have the power. People have the power. Good job. Ooh, that's your part. Ooh, keep it going while I'm singing. Vengeful aspect becomes suspect, and then we look as if to hear, and the armies cease advancing because the people had their ear. And the shepherds and the soldiers, they lay beneath the stars, exchanging visions and laying arms to race in the dust, in the form of shining valleys, where the pure air rarefied, and my senses newly open, I awaken to the cry. Get ready, here we go. People have the power. People have the power. People have the power. People have the power. So I'm going to replace Patty's third verse with one I wrote yesterday or the day before. It's all about Sonoma and what we just learned. One more time. Here in Sonoma, we get the message loud and clear, it's plain to see. We got to stand up and be counted to defend democracy. Civil rights can't be eroded. Human rights forever grow. We must unite to move us forward. We must all get out to vote for the